Welcome back, my fellow viewers, back again in this mini video series of Mexico Madness Month. And as we have reached the era of 1936, it's time to move from Victoria to Hearts of Iron 4 to play as more Mexico? Or are we? So, as you can see in the title of the video, we are back in Fuhrerreich or Fuhrerredux, as the last time I played this mod actually was like over 6 months ago, something like that. Many of you would have guessed that I would be playing Mexico, but no! Today, to change it up a bit, we're going to play as the nation of Cruzoob. And if you watched my announcement video, you would have seen that I teased it in there with the picture of the flag. But what the hell is Cruzoob? Many of you would be wondering. So, in a nutshell, since it's a little bit complicated, it was a revolt in the Yucatan region where the Mayan population organized a rebellion against the Mexican government during what was known as the Castas War that took place from 1847 to 1901. The name comes from the word cruz in Spanish, that means cross, and the prefix ub from Mayan. And basically, they believe, like, they have a syncretic Catholic Mayan faith, where Catholicism, Mayan parts of the faith with mix. It's like I said, it's very complicated. It's complicated. It's more complicated than what I just described, but there's not a lot of sources about this, especially in English. But with a quick overview of things, let's return to the game. I don't know the lore of the mod completely, so I don't know why Cruzoob is a thing, but it is. At the start of the game, we have basically nothing. No manpower, no industry, no rifles, and only a few buffs explaining the context of the nation. Our main goal will be to survive the Mexican attack, as they will be coming for us. Now, this country is supposed to be played by preparing for the war at the start. The only problem was that because Plutarco Elias Calles was elected as a leader or president of Mexico early on, and just like in real life having his atheist beliefs, he decided to declare war on us early on. I was totally not expecting this, but we have no other choice but to defend that one province with our life, as if they break that jungle tile, we're basically dead. And because our army is pretty shitty compared to the Mexican army, which at least is equipped compared to ours, we'll have to constantly retreat and reinforce so they don't break that tile. And why do I say that this war was meant to be for a later event? Well, it's because we have a focus that when completed, we can get some decisions to sabotage the Mexicans and get some guns and industry from them before the fight starts. And now, what do I say? No, like really, this campaign up until where we push the Mexicans is basically just this. Retreat, reinforce, while we sabotage the Mexicans through decisions, get some industry and buffs to the army through the focus tree. Like, I'm not kidding. So, like I said, because this part is pretty boring, I will just keep to the part until we can get at least some decent divisions to push. So, it's been almost a year of doing the strategy I just said, and I got some army XP out of the constant mass charges by the Mexicans, so I designed some good old 7-2s to get the job done. I also got my starting troops to level veteran, so they were pretty good at defending, not attacking, but at least defending they were pretty good. After a few months of basic training for my 7-2s, they were ready for action, and so I put them in the board to prepare an offensive, but just like how the Mexicans could not push us, well, we could not push them because of the terrain penalties, and because they just kept reinforcing like we did, like we were doing, that one tile over and over again. It basically just turned into World War I in a nutshell. So, back to square one. Even when the Mexican army was depleted in equipment, we still could not push them out of that single tile, so this trench warfare, if you will call it that, kept happening on and on and on and on, and I was running out of focuses to do. At this point it was 1939 with no end in sight until, of course, Mexico decides to go to war with the USA, even though they have no equipment, no manpower, and because they just decided to suicide charge at the Mayans in the jungles. So, because Mexico had to divert some of what remained of their army to the border with the US, they left the southern border open for attack, and it was now time to do just that. With our offensive already on its way, I wanted to take at least Mexico City for myself, so I just rushed to the capital to get there before the Americans could arrive. And so when I entered Mexico City, the war was over. Now it was time to divide the spoils. I mostly took the southern and central parts of Mexico while I just gave the US the northern region. I think it was a pretty fair deal. With Mexico no longer a thing, we were now able to progress down our focus tree. The first thing to do was to core the newly annexed states, as we could not afford the occupation cost, considering how I only had cores in Yucatan and a measly industry. Now our objective was to secure Guatemala, as it contains a sizable Mayan population and they needed to be integrated with their brothers. With the invasion of Guatemala happening, we had two choices: either go north and strike the US, or continue down southwards and try to create a new Mayan Empire. I decided for the latter, as if you have been watching this mini-series, you will know that most of the videos just end up with Mexico beating the crap out of the US, so it would make it a bit repetitive if I do that, as well, and that probably would mean I had a death wish, considering how the Americans at this point should have gotten rid of their Great Depression debuffs. The war with Guatemala was so quick that Honduras, which was a puppet of Guatemala, was not included in the peace deal, and because I could not manually justify, I just used the console commands. Oh, but don't worry, this is not the only time I had to use console commands, as the last focuses are a bit broken. With my war goals and justifications for the rest of Central America, it was time to finish the conquests. And just like that, just like with Mexico, I was able to integrate them and gain cores on all the land I just took. Now with all Central America secure under a grip, it was only a matter to declare a new empire in the region. The only thing was that the last focuses are broken, like I said before. So let me explain. To get to the last focus that actually changes the name of your country, you have to do either one of three things. You either have to join the Stahlpact, the Germany's faction, you have to form an alliance with native Bolivia, or you do a focus about economic relations with the Philippines, something like that. The thing is that first, Bolivia will not always go with the natives, and instead, like it happened in my game, they actually went through the socialist path. The same thing applies to the Philippines. They need to be bulkies to do the focus, and because of course they didn't go bulkist, I couldn't do that. And lastly, to join the Stahlpack, you need to do a focus about joint exercises that is actually locked out if Bolivia is not a bulkist, as you need to do a previous focus that needs Bolivia to be bulkist. And even then, if you take the joint army exercises, if Germany refuses, just like it happened to me, well, you're locked out of the last focus, as you need to join the Stahlpact. So again, I had to use console commands to fix this shit. The worst thing is that it only changes the name, no new portrait, no new flag, no nothing, it's just broken, but yay, I guess, Holy Empire of Cruzoob time? No, it's not because I took the focus without to complete, as I reloaded the same and still nothing, just change the name. I mean, to be fair, it said I will only change the name, but I at least expect a new flag, but so that is the end of this episode. This one was shorter and simpler than all the other videos, but I did it to add something extra to Mexico Madness month, as on Monday we shall cover Fuhrerredux, and then after that we shall go to the post-apocalyptic world of Overworld Blues and see what can be done to restore the glory of the Mexican nation. This was the Effectus Expert, signing off.